What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. Wager Alarm live stream. It's Friday night, baby. You know that's a great night of the week. But before we start talking about all our NFL fun and excitement there, Craig, how are you, dude? What's going on? How's your week been?
I am doing great.
Start talking
to
about
be
all our
honest with you,
No, lie to me. I love that.
we started off last Saturday with our bowl games. And while the one pick that I gave won, all my leans were wrong last Saturday. So out of 5 games, I think I got 2 out of 5 right or something like that. It was ugly. But the good news is you can't give up. You got to keep pressing. And the way we stand right now is we got both games today. We got BYU winning. We got FIU winning. And we also had the under in the Ohio game. So all of a sudden, we went from sub 500 to above 500 with both picks giving out winning. So feeling much better today than I was a couple of days ago. And ironically, Howard, it is a bowl season that we haven't seen in some time because virtually every single favorite except for one has covered. And that is not normal for the early part of the bowl season. Usually these things are very much up in the air. And the question that people probably have at this point, okay, I've been telling you guys, and I've been following you guys on your bowl picks, and maybe people have gone over to the Wager Alarm website, and they're looking at our picks in the video, and they're wondering, do I just keep following? Do I stop? What do I do? We gave some totals there, too. But the truth is, Howard, that when we get through 41 bowl games, I find it really hard to believe that we're to be looking at 30 favorites covering and 9 underdogs. I think this thing is going to even out eventually, which may mean what do you think, Howard? I mean, does Notre Dame cover against Clemson? Is that a possibility? Is Oklahoma going to cover against Alabama? So we'll just have to keep monitoring this as we go, and we certainly will talk about the games tomorrow. And then, of course, we have the Super Contest where we're coming off such a big week. So looking forward to discussing all of that with you here tonight.
The one lean that we actually had, which was the one favorite that we were looking at, was Marshall. Yesterday's game, and that was actually they did cover that one. Yeah, that was definitely an easy one. But I mean, listen, I agree with you. When you're sitting here and whether it's a bowl pool that you're doing or whether you're betting the individual games here for these early bowl games, these rando bowl games of who the hell knows from this school to who the hell knows from that school. When we were favoring the underdogs there and we were taking the points, it just from a mathematics standpoint, it made sense. It really made sense. And so I was totally fine with that. And whatever, if I start off a little bit down in my pool, I'm okay with that because, again, we just hit these 3 games here, Marshall, Florida, FIU, and BYU. We hit those. We've got 4 that we're looking at tomorrow, which I actually like. And you and I have been talking about these 4 games as well. And so, listen, you go 3-1 in tomorrow's slate. Where does that put you in your bowl pool, right? I mean, it shoots you straight up.
And by the way, 2 nights ago, under in the Ohio-San Diego State game, that was a win too. Yeah. That was 27-0 Ohio. The other thing that's happened, at least with both San Diego State and with South Florida, and this is something that we talked about. You can go back and look on the video stream. Whenever you are wagering on the bowl games, at least. Listen, if you guys took a lot of dogs and not the favorites, then I steered you wrong there. Obviously, look, that's definitely been the case so far here. But the one thing that I also said is that it's very hard to side with teams that are struggling heading into the bowl. They don't all of a sudden just pick it up and start winning again. That doesn't happen, especially when they're coming off losses. And these bowl games, Howard, are relatively quick from when the season ended. I mean, think about it. Even though these games are 3 or 4 weeks, it's not like they're playing on January 1st. We still have another almost 10 days before those teams play. So if they're struggling going into January 1st, they got a month and a half to figure this out. Not a long time for San Diego State, who struggled at the end of the season. Howard, they got shut out 27-0 in their bowl game. You don't see a lot of shutouts in bowl games. They didn't score a point. Ohio is not a great defensive team. They're okay, but they're not one of the better teams in the MAC, but they shouldn't be shutting out a team like this. So San Diego State, after a good start, falls apart. South Florida started off the season 7-0, and they lost 6 games to end the season. That's like unprecedented in college football, and they lost, Howard, in Tampa, in their home stadium to Marshall. They were kind of in the game a little bit at one point. They had a chance to cover. Honestly, I didn't see a lot of the game. I was at the Snoop Dogg concert, so I didn't see a lot of it. But
I was Snoop. I've seen him a couple of times, man.
He was really good. It was really good. But you know what? Afterwards, we were at the Hard Rock in Hollywood, so we were able to watch the game and see the end. But it was never really in doubt. Marshall more or less covered that game. So what's playing out here? Look at teams that are struggling toward the end of the season. Maybe teams that have lost 3 out of 4 and they snuck into a bowl in the next 5-6 days. Maybe it's time to side against them. But you're right. We got 5 games tomorrow. Wake Forest and Memphis. I honestly don't even recall if I gave anything out on the live stream on this game. I don't even remember if I did. I think this was like a pass for me. If I'm not mistaken.
Actually have like a bunch of game notes here. So let me take a look at the notes that we had in that one there. There's the Marshall one, FIU, Wake Forest, Memphis. Well, we talked about the fact that Mike Norvell is the coach of Memphis, is rumored to be leaving to go to K-State. The lean was Wake Forest here when the line was Memphis by 4.5 with an over/under of 73.
Okay, so we'll still lean Wake Forest. They're probably the better team, and this is, by the way, finally a Power 5 conference. Wake Forest and the ACC playing against Memphis. The line is -3.5 now, and the total is 72. But I really don't have a strong opinion on that one. The second game is 3:30 Eastern, 12:30. Pacific. This is one of the games that we targeted very early on in the bowl season. Army against Houston. With all of the injuries that Houston has, there is not a lot of value in this game anymore. And this is why, if you watched it and you bet or you got down in a pool on that -3 or -2.5, I'm seeing 6s. I know Matt said, our producer, that he saw 6. I see 6.5 for Army. So this is one of the biggest movers of all of the bowl games here. Everyone is on Army. Look, maybe you'll be wrong. Maybe the public will be wrong. I don't think Houston has a shot in this one. I think Army wins. It's one of my picks. And by the way, the total opened up at 67.5. 7.5 points later, it's down to 60 in this game. So, wow, some significant changes there. My pick would be Army for sure.
Well, I mean, listen, on the live stream, we said take Army. Like, this was
Do it now.
This was one of those picks where we were like, take this right now and run with it. So if you got it with Army -3, I mean, you're super psyched about that. Now, 6.5, 6, 5.5, whatever it is, it's obviously not as tasty. And let's face it, man, if Houston goes up, by some miraculous, stroke of genius here, it's going to be tough for Army to get back into it. But I mean, listen, we really, this was the one that, and it was really kind of funny because I remember specifically when we talked about it, and I said, this is one where you're saying bet it now, and you said yes. So
yeah,
but we're leaning Army and giving those points.
Not even we'll lean Army. Okay, here's what we'll do. We'll lean Army now with the spread, understanding that the pick was -3 on Army. Can we be clear on that? I can't do anything if you didn't watch before and you didn't take Army at -3. I mean, what am I going to tell you?
It's just not as good a bet right now.
It's not close. So, I mean, look, I still think Army wins the game. I think it goes under the total of 60. I like both those plays. I don't even think Houston shows up for this one. They can't stop the run. Army's going to control the clock. How is this going to get to 60 points? Maybe I'll be wrong on both. It certainly has happened a couple of times this season, but we'll see. What did I take in the Buffalo-Troy game? Can you check the notes there? That's 7 o'clock Eastern.
The notes, all I hear is the laughter in my ear from when we first started talking about this. By the way, nice hat, dude. Whose hat is that?
That would be BetDSI.
No way.
We have the same hat.
Can we say hi to our sponsor here?
Sure, and you can bet all the bowl games at betdsi.com. Make sure you make your first deposit by going to the website. Howard will tell you more about that. You can bet on all of the futures online, including Major League Baseball and the NFL. As things are happening real fast in baseball, all of a sudden, as we see, a ton of things are changing. And certainly, if you want to get involved in college basketball, they have that as well. So, Howard, tell people how they can get involved and sign up. Make sure that you use the promo code as well.
FantasyAlarm.com/bet. Again, that's FantasyAlarm.com/bet. Use the promo code ALARM100, ALARM100. BetDSI will match your deposit dollar for dollar, 100% match. I believe it's up to what? 200?
2,500.
2,500, I mean.
Yeah, 2,500. Mm-hmm. So
there you go. So FantasyAlarm.com/bet. Get over to BetDSI, make your deposit, start throwing it down there. From what we've looked at here, Buffalo versus Troy.
Yeah.
We leaned on the over here only because Troy is 7-0 going over in their last 7 bowl games.
Okay, so that makes sense. We'll stick with that. Even though the total went down to 49.5, we'll go over there.
Total went down to 49.5?
Yeah.
Holy.
That's fine. I still feel good about that. And what about Louisiana Tech, Hawaii in the Hawaii Bowl? What did we go with? Did we go with Hawaii?
Yeah, we said Hawaii. It was a home game for Hawaii.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not feeling as good about that. I think I want to switch to Louisiana Tech.
To me. Tell me why.
Yeah, now that I see that who Hawaii is playing and some of the teams that Hawaii has played have already played in the bowl games, I feel like I may want to change my mind there. I feel bad about that, though. Yeah, I don't know. Hawaii is 1-4 as a favorite. They're a slight favorite in this game. I'm trying to find here that I was looking at this earlier, and I don't know if I have it. The teams that they played. Okay, here we go. Hawaii at BYU lost 49-23. Nevada 40-22. Fresno State 50-20. Utah State 56-17. The only team they beat, Howard, in the last 2 with a pulse was San Diego State, 31-30. San Diego State, Howard, just lost 27-0.
27-0 to Ohio.
I think I got to change my pick.
Listen, you know what, though? There's nothing wrong with changing the pick because we said this on the live stream, too. As we got closer to each bowl game, as the lines moved, as the over-under, as the totals rose and fell, we were going to possibly switch some of our leans, some of our picks. You didn't make a pick on this one here. No, you leaned Hawaii because they were the home team who didn't want to embarrass themselves in front of the fans. So it wasn't like you turned around here and you were like, bet Hawaii now. No,
well, just stick with Army, stick with the under in this one, and you'll be in good shape. Just a real quick, because I think that we're going to do a live stream before then. But just to give you the updated lines on the rest of the games, which is on the 26th, there's no bowl games on Sunday, NFL. No bowl games on Monday, NFL. Christmas Day is Tuesday. No bowl games again. So then on Wednesday, you have a lot of games. Boston College against Boise State. The line is Boise State minus 1.5, total 55. Georgia Tech that line has gone way up also. I still like Georgia Tech in this one. They're minus 6 against Minnesota. This is the last game that'll be coached by Paul Johnson. He's retiring. And then, of course, Jim Bowden's favorite bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl, TCU and Cal. We thought that total was really low at 40 because these two teams were terrible. How about this? 38.5 now. Lowest bowl total in the college bowl season. So let's stop with those games right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? On Wednesday, the 26th, Craig and I are actually going to be doing a special Wager Alarm show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, 4 to 6 p.m. And good thing, Craig, because that TCU Cal game, that's going to be after we're on the show. So we can break that whole game down.
Can't wait. Can't wait. That's going to be the worst game played. People have no idea.
Nightmare. It's going to be a horror show. You know what? I'm hoping that some freakish thing happens in that game to at least just make it exciting. And I will be stuffing my fat face with Cheez-Its while watching that one. No question about it.
I don't think. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story with college football. In terms of the NFL, we're coming off a 4-1 week. That's back-to-back weeks. That's 8-2. If we were 80% for the season,
about, dude, we were 9-1 the last 2 weeks. We went 5-0.
We were 5-0. That's right. We were 5-0. 5-0. So that would win the Super Contest. That's all we had to do is do that all season long, and we wouldn't have to work ever again, and we would win the Super Contest. So Saturdays, let's kind of go over the games here a little bit. Saturday, Howard, we decided Washington, Tennessee. We are not doing anything with that game. Is that correct?
It's such an ugly game. Listen, I know the Redskins getting those points. I mean, they're just begging you to take that 9.5 on there.
That's the only way to go would be to take Washington, but we're not going to do it.
But I can't do it because Derrick Henry's just going to bust through that line on a regular basis, and I can't rely on the Titans really just shutting it down. So no, I didn't want to touch that game at all. I didn't want to touch Chargers Ravens either. I mean, if I did, I would have taken the Ravens and getting the 4.5 points.
Only way to go there too. Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't like that one either. I have a feeling like Phillip Rivers could throw for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns like he's done against some of the tougher pass defenses. But you know what? Phillip Rivers can also crap the bed and turn around and throw 3 picks in this game just because it's such a tough pass defense for the Ravens. Correct. So I didn't want to touch that either.
So the two games that we started off with this week that we're going to take, and then we'll talk about some of the others. Now that we've decided to pass on those. The first game we're going to take is we're going to take the Eagles against Houston. I think that everybody can agree at this point that the Eagles are playing the football that they should have been all season long. The total is 46. It tells you there's going to be some points scored in that game. This is taking a little bit of a chance because of the quality of opponent that Houston is, but I think you and I would agree, Howard, they're probably not as good as their 10-4 record would indicate. Philly still does have a chance, although be it remote because of that tie that Minnesota had, that they're kind of in the lead to get that final playoff spot, but Philly does have a chance. They played very well last week, as we saw, against the Rams. Howard, the line is, what is it on the Super Contest right now?
2.5. Texans are getting 2.5 points.
2.5. So right now it's down to 1.5. If you bet it, you could get a better line on Philadelphia, but we are going to take, our first pick is going to be the Eagles to beat Houston at home. Not a big spread this week.
It's not a big spread.
Only favorite, by the way.
This is the only favorite that we're going to touch. And you know what? Listen, I don't mind this pick at all. I think it's a great pick. I understand that the Eagles, don't have a strong ground game there, but you know what? You don't need a strong ground game against Houston in order to beat them. Houston's got a great front seven. They got one of the top run defenses, top pass rushes. Nick Foles in the pocket there. He doesn't panic. And I actually like the fact that he uses Alshon Jeffrey as his number one lean. Carson
What
Wentz,
happened to that guy?
Well, there you go. Carson Wentz leaned on Zach Ertz on a regular basis. Carson Wentz preferred Nelson Aguilar coming out of the slot. That's just the game he played. Nick Foles likes to take more chances downfield, likes to get Alshon Jeffrey a lot more involved. It's a great matchup. Houston's secondary. Houston's given up over 320 passing yards per game over their last 3 weeks. The Eagles, mind you, second most, but only at like 290. Per game over the last 3 weeks. And I do believe that this could turn into a little bit of a shootout. All I need are for the Eagles to win this one by 3. I'm perfectly fine with this being a tie game coming down to the very end. Give me the Eagles kicker there on that and win the game.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll just get down to the end of the game. And you're right. This does kind of point toward a high-scoring game. It does feel like that. The second pick is kind of going against our best friends here because the Colts have been so good to us all season long. We've been riding them, but I don't know how you can make them, Howard, such a big favorite over anyone. They play in every game they play virtually is close, except for last week against Dallas. And because they shut them out, this line should not be 9.5. This should be a 7 or a 6. But they're giving the Giants 9.5 points. The Giants, no matter what, have shown that they are not quitting, whether they have Beckham or not, whether they have Shepard or not. They have Barkley. I don't know, Howard. I looked at this line and I just thought, look, this is one of those where I say this a couple times throughout the year. This is a game you circle because you and we're going to know right away in this game. We're going to know. I mean, either it's going to be 21-0 and we're going to text each other, oh, terrible pick, or we're going to go, yeah, I mean, it's 7-6, it's 10-7, and that is the way that I think this is going to play out. The Colts defense has been much better than anybody thought. I do think Marlon Mack will have success. I do think the Colts will be able to score, but in a 21-10 game with 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, all the Giants have to do is kick a field goal, 21-13, kick off. They don't get the ball back, game over. We win. Too many points, I think, in this one.
I think it's too many points, and I also like the fact that one of the things that came out in the news is that Alec Ogletree, middle linebacker for the Giants, he's out. Okay, that really tilts things towards a heavier ground attack for the Indianapolis Colts, a little bit more Marlon Mack usage there. That's going to slow the pace of the game down. And if they can slow the pace of the game down, then that favors us getting the points in that realm also. I think Barkley can penetrate this Indianapolis defense. As long as Eli doesn't play a stupid game, that's going to be the key there. If the offensive line can hold up a little bit, because the pass rush for the Colts is good but not great. It's not a pass rush that you fear. So if Eli's not focused solely on Odell Beckham, he's going to hit Evan Engram. He's going to hit Sterling Shepard. He's going to utilize Saquon Barkley. They can methodically move down the field, and just systematically chew up that clock as it's happening. I think that's going to be the goal for the Giants here, is to keep Andrew Luck off the field. And the less Andrew Luck is on the field, the better it works for us in our favor here,
sure,
getting these points. So
and again, think about this for a minute before we move on. And I talked about this on the live stream earlier in the week. What if Dallas doesn't get their field goal blocked? What if 2 times near the goal line on 4th down they get one of those? What if the end of the game the score is 23-14 and not 23-0? This is just a very big overreaction. The Colts, I'm going to guess, have not been this big a favorite since they had Peyton Manning. This is a very, very big line that they're going to have to cover. We'll see if they do. The third pick is another big underdog, and we're going to take and go on a limb here and take the Bills plus 13.5 against the Patriots. The Patriots look like they should be favored because it is the Bills, but let's be honest. I don't know what's going on with New England, Howard. They just don't look like they are in sync. Buffalo has a tendency to run the ball. They've been playing in a lot of close games this season. They only have 5 wins, and I know that's not fantastic, but they're only giving up 23 points a game this season, and the Patriots are allowing 22. This could be a close game.
Listen, divisional game here. Patriots have not looked good. Buffalo's got a top 10 run defense, okay, and they've got a top 5 pass defense. All right, that's their bread and butter. The reason that the Colts have been losing all those games is because of the turnovers on the offensive front. Okay, that's what's been killing the Colts also. Injuries to LaShawn McCoy. That's, listen, that's what happens. That's the way it goes. But New England has not looked good over their last, 3 or 4 games. They've really struggled here. You've got, Josh Gordon. He's gone. So they lose a major target there, a guy who drew a lot of coverage away from the other guys. And is leaving them kind of exposed. Chris Hogan, the guy hasn't done squat all year long. Philip Dorsett, not even close. So it's Edelman, it's Gronk, and then they're going to try and run the ball against these guys. So I'm sorry. I think that the 13 points, listen, the Gordon news, which just came out yesterday, added bonus for us with the 13 points. That couldn't have fallen any more in our favor with that happening there. So we like this pick at the 13, and now we get like a little, yum with it. So I dig it, man. And I watch AFC East games over and over and over again as a Jets fan.
Don't admit that. Yeah, don't admit that.
Oh, come on, dude. I can be born into being a loser Jet fan. I don't bet on the Jets. How many times have we talked about the Jets in the Super Contest, and I'm like, I don't want to. No.
Yeah, last week looked great until the last play of the game.
Until the last play of the game. And what was the text that you got from me right at the game ended?
The first text was that Jets was a good pick, and then at the end was Jets was a bad pick. That's kind of the way that game went. All right, let's move on. Jacksonville is the next one, correct?
Jacksonville is the next one, yeah.
Okay, explain to me how the Dolphins should be favored over anybody in any game.
I
can't do it. I can't explain it.
Anybody.
I can't explain it.
No, and not to mention Tannehill's got a little ankle issue now. That's hindering him. They've got some questions about the backfield. Is it going to be Kalen Ballage? Are they going to incorporate Kenyon Drake? The passing attack is still not good. They don't have a tight end. Kenny Stills is good for a deep ball, and that's about it. They just don't have the personnel really that to warrant being a favorite here against the team. It's the Jags, who may actually go back to Blake Bortles instead of Cody Kessler. I did hear that buzzing around there. But even so, the way you beat Miami is to run it up the gut.
Absolutely.
And we saw that this past week with Dalvin Cook. That was what the Vikings did the entire time. They just plowed the ball up the middle. Dalvin Cook shredded them. So whether it's Leonard Fournette or they get Dave Williams involved in the ground game, that's how the Jags are going to attack this, and that's the easiest way to beat the Dolphins. I don't love the Jaguars as a team by any stretch of the imagination, but give me those 4 points there in a close one.
Yeah, if it was 2 or 1, probably not going to do it. But the Dolphins aren't beating anybody by a lot. The game against Buffalo, first of all, they get crushed by Indianapolis in Indianapolis. They come back, they beat Buffalo because Clay drops the ball in the end zone at the end of the game. They win by a miracle at the end of the game against New England, and then they get crushed by Minnesota again. So yeah, maybe they beat Jacksonville by 1, by 2, by 3. We're getting 4 points. Take the Jaguars. Final game is Pittsburgh and New Orleans.
All right, we're taking our babies.
The Steelers have been one of our best friends also. In fact, we've been good on or against them. That's what's been really interesting. Look, Connor's out. Oh my gosh, right? Steelers are still playing close in these games. Juju, we don't know. Oh my gosh, I don't know that plays a huge factor in this one. Everyone keeps relying on, are they going to be able to keep up with the Saints? What's going on with the Saints? They're not scoring a lot of points. So
not scoring any points, dude.
The Steelers can keep up with them in this one. The total is high. It is 52, but the total in Kansas City Seattle game, think about this, is 54. And those two teams, while Kansas City is a good offense, Seattle runs the ball. Why is that total higher than New Orleans Pittsburgh? Probably because that one's going to go under. We're getting almost a touchdown in the game, and all Pittsburgh really needs to do is score first. Give me a 7-0. And then at that point, New Orleans has to score twice without Pittsburgh scoring the rest of the game. Look, the Steelers are still a very good team. They've shown some holes. They haven't been as good defensively in the second half of the season as they were in the first half of the season. They're still 7-6-1 against the spread this season. Again, we just have to continue to take underdogs. Pittsburgh is 4-0 against the spread this season as an underdog. What else can I say?
Give me those 6 points, dude. Listen, since the Saints got smacked in the mouth 3 weeks ago by the Cowboys, they put up 10 points against the Cowboys, 28 only against the Bucks, a team that everybody's laying a 40 burger on a regular basis.
And the Bucks were turning the ball over like crazy in that game.
Yeah, giving the game away. And then they turn around and 12 points against the Panthers, who have one of the worst secondaries in the NFL right now. That, to me, I mean, listen, there's been a lot of problems, and it's kind of funny when you look at the Saints right now because they've had some major issues offensively since they lost Ted Ginn. There's no other alternative. Their teams understand that they are run first right now. They're playing to Kamara. They're playing to Ingram. They're forcing Drew Brees to throw it. He's got Michael Thomas. He doesn't like throwing to anybody else.
Got. Yeah, and Traquan Smith, I thought would have more of an impact. I guess next year,
me
probably,
too.
Right?
I used him the 1 week that he went off. I used him in DFS, and that was a great time. And the dude's seen like 2 targets in 3 games since.
Yeah. It seems like the Saints' game plan is feed Kamara, whether it's through the air or the ground, as much as they can. Ingram will get the other carries, and then just throw to Michael Thomas as much as possible. And teams are starting to figure that out. Maybe it is doubling Thomas. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch.
Well, it is because there isn't anybody else there. Cam Meredith went down with an injury. Austin Carr is not useful out of the slot. Traquan Smith doesn't get any targets there. Ben Watson at the tight end spot. Dan Arnold, it's the same thing.
Right.
So the Saints actually are not bothering me offensively here too much. And then on the defensive side of the ball, dude, Marshawn Lattimore will be on Antonio Brown. Okay, fine. That's it. P.J. Williams, Eli Apple, who are they going to cover? They can't cover. If Juju plays, it's going to be a nightmare for Eli Apple or for P.J. Williams. They're 2 of the worst cover corners in the game right now. So, I mean, it's obviously going to take James Washington, Eli Rogers, Ryan Switzer to step in the game right Juju's now. Out. But then don't forget, you've also got Jalen Samuels, and here's a running back who we've seen the way the Steelers use their running backs. And let's face it, if you're Lev Bell right now, are you banking on millions and millions and millions of dollars when you've just seen Jalen Samuels and James Conner show exactly why it's a system and it's not the player himself?
Yeah, too late for that now. Nothing you can do about that. But either way, that's who we like this week. So we're going with 4 dogs and then the Eagles as the 1 small favorite. So we'll see. And those are our 5 super contest picks for the week. It's funny, people who have watched this, a couple people have said they always like hearing what the 6th pick would be. So I'll give you my opinion on it. From a betting perspective, I definitely would take Dallas -7. The problem in the super contest, I think, Howard, is at 7.5, right? If I'm not mistaken, they added the extra half. The line is 7 everywhere. I guess at the point where the super contest had to make their decision, they had the half on there. Without a doubt, as we communicate with these picks, I would have included Dallas as an additional pick for sure. But I do get nervous when I see that half. And again, 28-14 with a minute to go. Let's just say 28-7 against Tampa with 5 minutes to go. They score a touchdown, 28-14. Dallas runs 3 times, gives it back. With a minute left, Tampa scores. You lose. And you had no business losing with Dallas dominating the game. That hook is really hard. Now, I do think Dallas is going to crush Tampa. I do. I think Tampa's done. I don't think there's incentive there for them. I'm trying to find a positive narrative for them. Like, what is it? Like, they have a quarterback who they really don't know is their future. They have a coach who's probably not going to be there. They probably won't play hard. But when it comes to using the spread, you have to go with value. And there's just, when you have that extra hook, there's not a lot of value in this. So if I had to do a sixth, I would even do it with the 7.5. But for purposes of narrowing it down for the 5 best picks, we left them out. And that's it. The rest of the games I would leave off the board this week.
Yeah, not a fan of anything else there. So, all right. Well, there you go, guys. There you have it. The bowl game's lined up for tomorrow. The Super Contest lined up for Sunday's action. Craig and I will probably be back on, might do Monday night here. How about a little Christmas Eve?
Sure.
We'll do that. We'll cover some bowl games here. We'll wrap up everything that went down over here on Sunday night, or Sunday football for that matter. So, Craig, any parting shots here you want to take?
Fantasy football, this is championship week, so good luck to everybody who is playing out there. Really, luck being the key word if you got to this point. I mean,
what are you talking about, dude? Come on, luck. I was strutting through with my 11-2 record, riding on the backs of Kareem Hunt and James Conner.
Hey, I mean, listen, everybody knew that Kalen Ballage and Jamal Williams were going to lead their teams to fantasy championships this week, right? Look,
that's hysterical because that's what I wrote in my article in the New York Post this week.
Yeah, there it is. Boom, mentioned. So either way, congratulations on the grind. If you got to this point, I know a lot of you who play the fantasy game are going to be, and at least for me, once fantasy football is over, I don't want to have anything to do with worrying about fantasy football. I am so toast. Just like I am with baseball. When fantasy baseball's over, I'm toast with that too. But here on Wager Alarm, we are rolling right through this, all the way through the NFL playoffs, the Super Bowl. We got some good things planned for the Super Bowl. I think we'll do some halftime stuff. We'll look at the props for that as well. So thank you guys so much. I know that there have been a lot of you, more than I could have ever expected, that are watching this online. Thousands of you at a time for something that we just started up this year. So thank you guys so much for your support here in 2018. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks very much, everybody. Thank you to Craig. Thank you to Matt Sells, our producer. This has been Howard Bender of the Wager Alarm live stream. We'll catch you next time.